Scouts Victoria respectfully acknowledges the traditional custodians of the country throughout Victoria where our activities take place today. We pay our respects to elders both past, present and emerging, and continue to recognise and embrace the important continuous history and connection to land and community of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people.
Hello everyone and welcome to Scout Quest. Tonight we have a very exciting guest, Olympic and Commonwealth Games bronze medalist Anabelle Smith. Anabelle is going to chat to us about her journey from training 30 hours a week at age 14 to the podium for diving at the Rio Olympics. We are going to hear Anabelle's story and then we will answer your questions. Please welcome Anabelle.
Hi everybody, thank you very much for having me tonight. As Vicky mentioned, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my journey as an Olympic athlete and how I got to where I am today, also training towards the now postponed Tokyo 2021 Olympic Games, and then we'll be sure to get to some of your questions as well. So where do I begin? Pretty much I grew up a very sporty kid, as I'm sure most of you are as well. I was super active. I loved little athletics, I played soccer, I did netball. Pretty much my parents put me in whatever sports that they could to help me exert my endless amounts of energy. But I also always had a natural acrobatic and aerial awareness. I was teaching myself backflips on my trampoline in my backyard, cartwheeling down my hallways at home. And I think my cousin actually did diving at the time, and my parents took me along to a holiday program somewhere where I could do backflips safely into a pool and have a coach watch me. So I first tried diving when I was about 12 years old, and I fell in love with it straight away. I don't think when I was young I didn't really know what diving was until I saw my cousin do it and I tried it out. But compared to the other sports that I did, it was definitely something that was super challenging and really fun and could get my adrenaline going. So it really caught me from the beginning. But I just did it recreationally for about a year, once or twice a week on top of the other activities that I was doing. And then when I was 14, I tried out for a high performance diving program that was going to be starting in the city at the Melbourne Sports and Aquatic Centre, and it was going to be the first junior elite program that we'd ever had. And I was very fortunate to make it into that program and be selected to join that group. And that is when I began training 30 hours a week, 10 sessions a week, and I had to give up my other activities to just focus all my time on diving. So pretty much for the last 10 years, I've been doing a lot of training. It takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of commitment to be an elite athlete, but it has come with so many rewards, and I've been able to achieve so many of my goals that I dreamed of as a little kid. So I guess, in terms of the Olympics, I first had the dream of making an Olympic team way back in 2000 when I watched Kathy Freeman win her infamous gold medal in the 400 meters in front of a home crowd. And I remember saying to my parents as a 7-year-old, "Oh, I want to be wearing the green and gold and I want that to be me one day." And I think as any supportive parents would do, they patted me on the back and they said, "Yes, Belle, you'll get there one day," not probably realizing that that was actually going to become a reality one day. As I progressed through that high performance program when I was 14, I quickly improved, and it was just really fun for me to learn new and challenging skills in diving, because unless you do have a coach, it is a hard sport to just, go to a pool and know what to do diving off a 3-meter springboard or a 10-meter platform. So I was able to progress really quickly and qualified for my first ever World Junior Championships when I was 15 and got to compete in Germany and came home with 2 bronze medals, which was really the start of my international diving journey, and I guess realizing that there were so many more people all around the world making the same sacrifices as me, training just as hard as me, and it really opened my eyes and motivated me to get back home and train even harder and see how much better that I could get with my diving. So fast forward a couple of years, I actually qualified for my first Commonwealth Games when I was still studying at school in year 12. And that was a really special experience because I was able to compete at my first major multi-sport international competition, and I had my whole school back at home cheering me on. And I was very lucky to have my family travel over to India and cheer for me in the stands. So that's a moment that I will cherish forever, being my first big major competition. And I won a bronze medal in 10-meter synchro, which is synchronized diving, is when two people dive off at the same time. Maybe some of you guys have seen that on TV before. But it was really special to then be able to come home and go back to school and show my medal to all my friends and take it to the junior school and see all the little kids get really excited over watching one of their fellow students compete at the Commonwealth Games. Then moving on, after I finished school, I actually had to relocate up to Brisbane to train with the Australian Institute of Sport program, which was based up there at the time. So moving away from home was pretty challenging, but I worked towards qualifying for my first Olympic Games, which was when my dream as a little kid definitely had come true. I competed in 3-meter synchronized in London, and I guess that whole experience of being on my first Olympic team is pretty hard to describe because all of a sudden I was surrounded by my sporting idols. I was very fortunate to take a photo with Usain Bolt in the food hall in London. He was actually in the line to McDonald's. Surprisingly, there was a McDonald's in the food hall at the Olympics, but thankfully he ordered a chicken salad. But I also got to meet David Beckham. I saw Roger Federer, Andy Murray. All of my idols who I'd grown up watching were now in the same environment. I was in the same environment as them, and I really just had wide eyes and tried to soak in as much of it as I could. So that was an amazing experience. And then if we fast forward 4 more years, I competed at the 2014 Commonwealth Games, also winning a bronze medal. And then fast forward 2 years, I qualified for the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, which is where this jacket is from, this piece of uniform. And wearing the green and gold is something very special and such a privilege. And it really just is an example of all the hard work and all the sacrifices paying off, I guess. Over in Rio, I definitely 4 years more of experience, and I definitely tried to go into those games with more focus and realized that I could take pictures with my idols after my event finished, but I really needed to focus on my job, and that was to try and win a medal for my country. And my synchro partner and I, Maddie, she actually is based in Brisbane, but we were fortunate enough to win that bronze medal and get to stand on the podium and see our flag raise in 3rd position, our teammates cheering for us, and my family was cheering for me back at home. And that's definitely a special memory that I will cherish forever. As I said, I'm now training towards hopefully my 3rd Olympic Games, but as we've all had to live through in the past sort of 5 months with this coronavirus pandemic, it's been really challenging for everybody, but I've tried to stay positive throughout the whole experience and just realize that everything going on at the moment is really out of my control, and I just have to go with the flow and do the best that I can to stay motivated and stay enthusiastic and energetic for training. So pretty much over the last 5 months, I've gone through all the phases of doing jigsaw puzzles. I've done baking, cooking. I tried to paint, and I'm not very artistic at all. But yeah, I've tried to do anything that I can to make sure I'm, staying healthy and staying active. And I've really been loving going on walks around my neighborhood. And because we have at times been able to walk with one other person, so I'd meet up with a friend that way, and we'd either go to the botanical gardens, or I live quite close to Albert Park Lake. So that's also been really nice just to get out in the fresh air. We've been so lucky with the weather. I think recently we've had a bit of sun, which has been nice for us down in Melbourne. But yeah, I've been also enjoying some home workouts. If I could turn my camera, I'd show you my home gym setup at the moment is some barbells and some dumbbells and some weights in my lounge room. So that's been fun. But yeah, it's been really great to make sure that I stay active, and that we've had so many resources. Just go onto YouTube and type in, 20-minute workout, or I've been loving doing little dance cardio workouts, which you get the music pumping and you can just dance around the living room and it gets your heart rate pumping, and that has been really fun and something that I've never done before. So it's been new and challenging and a good workout at the same time. I guess some of the other things that I've learnt during this COVID time is just to have some perspective. I guess, with the Tokyo Olympics postponed to next year, that was my big goal that I was working towards. And this last 4 years, everything that I've done has been to making that Olympic team and hopefully winning another medal. So I really had to step back, and as much as I was disappointed when the announcement came that they were postponed, I think that was back in March now, I was really disappointed and kind of sad, and, wasn't sure if I was going to have the motivation to keep training a whole nother year. But thankfully, I had a really good support system around me who, told me it was completely normal to be feeling a little bit down and unmotivated because my, next goal had just been pulled out from underneath me. But I then had to just shift those goalposts forward and reset my goals and think, all right, well, maybe that gives me an extra year to get even better and to train even harder and hopefully be in a better position to do well next year. So I've really been trying to look at it that way and just stay positive and keep, eating healthy foods which make me feel good, drinking lots of water and keeping my body moving. So that's a little bit about me and my career so far, but I think we might go on to a few questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for that, Anabelle. Your journey has been nothing short of incredible. So we've got a few questions to ask, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. So if you've got something you'd like to ask Anabelle, please put it in the comments and we'll get to as many as we can. So what do you listen to prior to competing?
Good question. So in a diving competition, it's pretty intense and the pressure and the stakes are pretty high. So I actually like to listen to music that isn't too upbeat and going to get me, my heart racing too much, because you have 3 seconds to do a really good dive and you have to be super in control of your body. So if your heart's pounding and you're too nervous, then you're going to probably fall off the board the wrong way. So I listen to just some mellow music, and sometimes even an hour before my diving event, I'll do like a meditation soundtrack just to calm myself down and be a little bit more in control.
Yeah, cool. What was the last piece of advice that your coach gave you before you went out in Rio to compete?
Well, the Olympic Games is the most nerve-wracking competition, as you can probably imagine. So we really rely on our coaches to make us feel confident and remind us that everything's going to be okay, and just stick to the process and not so much think of the outcome. Because if I start thinking about, but, China's ahead of us by 20 points and Canada's beating us by 5 points, you get super distracted. So my coach always just tells me, remember your process, be powerful, be aggressive, and just go for it. So really just encouraging words to make us feel good.
Yeah, it sounds like your coach is super, super supportive of everything that you're doing. One last question, and then we'll see what the audience wants to know. So are you friends with all the international divers, or do you tend to stick to your teams?
Another good question. One thing I really love about diving is that it is a pretty small sport. And so I'm really close friends with pretty much everyone in Australia on our national team because it is so small. And then also when we go overseas, and I've been lucky enough to go to so many competitions now where I've met people from all around the world and divers from lots of different countries. And because it is small, again, I have a lot of really close friends who are divers. So we're really close with the British team, the Canadian team, the American team. So yeah, we're really lucky that I've made some really great friendships all across the globe.
Awesome. Sounds like it's a really, really tight-knit community of divers. So we have a question from Nalina. Did you have any other passion other than sports?
Well, when I was young, I just really loved sport. Sport was like the one thing that no matter what sport it was, or if it was indoors, outdoors, in water, out of water, whatever it was, I just loved getting outside and being active. So that was really my number one passion. But I also tried my hand at singing. I was in the Australian Girls Choir for a year, but Unfortunately realized the choir was probably not for me. And yeah, I mean, I did piano lessons. I quite liked music, and could read music, but yeah, I was all right on the piano, but not very good singing. That's probably another thing that I liked. But as I mentioned before, I'm not that creative, so drawing and painting, I'm not very good at.
Fair enough. A question from Jane. Do you have a lucky charm that you take with you to events?
Oh, I like that question. When I was younger, I actually used to travel with the same teddy bear everywhere, probably until I was like 18. My parents gave it to me, and yeah, it was just because I was away from home so often. It was like the one thing that made sure no matter what hotel room, bed I was in, I had my teddy, and I felt like my parents and my family were with me. But nowadays, I guess I travel with, some jewelry that I always take away with me, and then I always have. Some of you might see on TV, but divers use what we call a chamois, which is like the towel to like wipe the water off your body so that you don't slip out of any of your dives. And that's a bit of a superstition of mine, is that like if I forget my chamois or if I lose my chamois, it's like not good. So my chamois is my lucky charm at the moment.
Amazing. Question from Francis. If you would come in second to one country, what would it be?
Oh, well, in diving, China's pretty much ahead of the game. So we're really trying to, get as close to them as we can. But they, more often than not, take the golds. But we have beaten them once or twice, which is really good. China are definitely leading the way. And we also have a strong rivalry with Canada. So I actually wouldn't like to come second to them, though. I'd like them to come second to us.
Got to beat those Canadians. From Lucas, if you could thank anyone that helped you with your diving, who would you thank?
Oh, these are very good questions. I've definitely been very lucky to have a strong team of support around me. When the times that I've spent in Melbourne, I train with the Victorian Institute of Sport, and we have, I have a sports psychologist, I have a dietitian, physiotherapist, massage therapist. We're really lucky to have a really strong team, so I can get help from anyone that I'd need to. So I'm really grateful for the VIS. Also, obviously, my family. Growing up, when I couldn't drive, I was too young to drive, my parents would wake up at 5 a.m. to take me half an hour into the city and then pick me up from school and take me back and drive me home at 8 p.m. And so, yeah, my family definitely had to sacrifice a lot more for me to be able to do my sport. And so I am forever grateful for them for being my support system as well.
Families are pretty incredible. Marlene would like to ask, what do you like better, springboard or platform?
Oh, well, as a diver, when you're younger, they like to make you train on both the 3-meter springboard and the high 10-meter platform. And then as you get older, you generally specialize so that you can put all your time and energy into one event. But I'd probably say I liked platform better when I was younger because I was fearless and I wasn't worried about heights or anything like that. And I was pretty good at it. But thankfully, as I've gotten older and a little bit more wise, I've come down to the 3-meter springboard. So nice and safe and just chilling on the 3-meter. So I'd probably say 3-meter now.
Fair enough. A question from Julie. What does your diet have in it?
Well, my diet is definitely pretty healthy, but thankfully I don't ever really have to be too strict. I just make sure I'm eating lots of fruit and veg. I need my carbs for my energy before training, and then I try and boost up with my protein after training. So a normal sort of day on my plate would be smashed avo and an egg or something on toast in the morning, chicken sandwich or chicken salad for lunch, and then usually just like a normal meat and 3 veg kind of dinner. Or I like to sometimes get creative in the kitchen and follow recipes and eat a lot of vegetables as well. So pretty whole-rounded kind of diet.
From Gemma, who do you look up to as a role model and why?
I look up to lots of different athletes for different reasons, but as I said earlier, my first sporting idol was definitely Kathy Freeman, and seeing her just rise to the occasion, and she had the whole of the world and definitely the whole of Australia, watching over her trying to win that gold medal, and she just, put on that suit and she ran that 400 meters and won the gold medal and just, had the biggest smile on her face. So she was definitely my idol growing up. But now I also look up to people like Roger Federer, Serena Williams. I follow the NBA and follow the Warriors. So I love Steph Curry. I love LeBron James. In Australia at the moment, I'm really loving Ash Barty and everything that she's been doing with the tennis. So, yeah, all my sporting idols, I guess, are all pretty successful and just represent the type of athlete and the type of person that I want to be as well.
So a question coming from First Mount Evelyn, Jonty and Micah. They'd like to know, what are you thinking about when you're standing on the edge of the board ready to dive?
Well, it's taken me a long time to find a proper routine that makes me feel really comfortable and confident, because sometimes, when I was younger, I never got nervous. So I don't even know what I thought of, but I'd just go and it would always end up pretty good. But then in the middle part of my career, I would sometimes struggle with a lot of doubt and think oh, I don't want to stuff this up, or I don't want to, do the wrong, or not do the wrong dive, but do my dive badly or make a mistake because I don't want to upset my coach. And that just never worked out well. As you can imagine, anytime you have some doubt, it's never really going to end up well. So now I really just try and have a pretty clear head, clear mind, and just say one or two cue words from the dive that I'm about to do and something technical. So it might be squeeze really tight, or look for the water, something like that. And then just positive affirmation, I've got this, or something like that.
Sounds like you're super focused. From Danny, what was your most embarrassing moment at an event?
Oh, I've had a couple. Unfortunately, so the 2018 Commonwealth Games were on the Gold Coast, which was actually one of my favourite events because it was a home crowd, a home games, and lots of family and friends were able to be there. And thankfully, the embarrassing moment didn't happen there. But we had a trial event leading into that competition, and that pool was actually an outdoor pool, which is pretty unusual for us. We usually dive indoors and compete indoors with a roof. So you can imagine on the sunny Gold Coast, the sky's blue, the water's blue. I don't really know where I am in the air because everything's blue. And I actually did a dive in a competition where my knees buckled and I landed on my back on the board, then flopped off the side. And I just thought nothing, mistakes happen, whatever, brushed it off, it was fine. But then about 10 minutes after the event, I had people calling me because apparently there were Channel 7 news cameras there, and they filmed the whole thing and put it on the internet and put it on the news. So that was my most embarrassing moment, and something that I wish I could erase. But unfortunately, the whole world got to laugh at me.
Oh, no. A question from Nalina. Has anyone ever said that you can never do something, but you've overcome it?
Probably in 2015, I had a really bad injury where I sprained some of my ribs and I was unable to compete at our World Championship trials. And that event was pretty much whoever made the World Championships team was kind of going to go on to then be the 2016 Olympic team. And unfortunately, because of my injury, I didn't get selected in that World's team. And I had a lot of people thinking that I wouldn't be able to come back and make the Olympic team, and my chance had kind of gone. But thankfully, again, with that small support team around me in Victoria, they encouraged me to keep going, and I trained and got over my injury and came back even stronger, and then was able to make that Rio team and come home with a medal. So that's definitely something that I'm really proud of.
A question from Brenda, from Macca. How many chamois and bathers do you have?
Oh, I currently only have one chamois because I tend to, you just use one chamois until that's kind of old and then you just get a new one, but I just use the same one every day. But bathers, I couldn't tell you. I reckon I'd have probably close to 150 pairs of bathers. But I only really wear probably 20 on a cycle, but I have lots of old ones. Well, a lot of old ones I've given away to the younger kids at diving. But I have lots of Olympic bathers and Commonwealth Games bathers that are still in their wrappers that I'm going to keep forever. So yeah, I've got lots of different packages of bathers, but probably only wear 20 on cycle.
Fair enough. A question from Alan. What is your favourite technical element?
Oh, my favorite technical element in diving is probably just strength and power in dives. So for me, my strength is my ability to jump really high and my natural power. So that allows me to, do some harder skills that not many girls can do. And, along with flexibility and being able to get into a really tight pike position and squeeze your tuck or your pike, that's really helpful in a dive. So, yeah, I like being a technically powerful diver.
A question from Angus. Do you have any plans for the future after diving?
These are some great questions.
Yeah.
I have definitely, spent time thinking about what I want to do after diving, because it's really important now, I think, to be able to transition out of your sport and know that you've got things ready for you when you are ready to finish your career. But I've got a degree in sports, exercise and sports science, and have always, as you guys have probably figured out, just love sports. So I want to hopefully work with another high performance team, or would love to work at a footy club. I'm a very passionate Richmond supporter, so would love to work for the Tigers one day. But yeah, I'm not really sure. Something definitely in sport, but I also really enjoy public speaking and do a lot of school talks. So I'm really interested in sort of mentoring the next generation of athletes and kids as well.
Sounds like you've got lots of options for the future. Okay, a question from the Longs. What has been your favourite thing at the Olympics?
Ooh, probably, well, obviously winning my medal was very special. But outside of that, in London, my mum, my auntie, and my cousin were able to come over and watch me. And in London, we actually were able to bring family members into the village. And so I got to take them around the whole village and through the games room, the international zone, the dining hall, and they got to experience it and hold the torch. So that was really cool. And then in Rio, I was very lucky because my event was on day 2 out of a 2 weeks Olympics. So I had 12 days after my event to just soak it all in and enjoy it. So I got to go on a helicopter ride over the whole of Rio. I got to go straight to the top of the crest, the Redeemer, and, see the whole of Rio from the sky pretty much. So I was very lucky, and that was definitely one of my favorite things.
The Olympics sound like they're a fantastic adventure. All right, so the cool stuff kids would like to know what the highest dive is that you've achieved.
I guess, well, the highest I've ever dived off is the 10-meter platform, but then the hardest dive I've done off that platform is probably a back 3.5 somersaults tuck. So if this is the platform and then this is the water, you're standing backwards and you jump that way and you tuck your legs nice and tight 3.5 times and land on your head. So
Wow, that sounds super complicated. All right, a question from William. What was your worst injury?
My worst injury was in 2014 or 13, I think. I had an accident in the gym where I was doing calf raises on a box. So I had a bar with 50 kilos or something on my back, and I was going up and down on my toes, and the box actually flipped and the bar came crashing down and actually crushed my finger. So I had to have surgery to get my finger mended and had 2 metal prongs hanging out for a couple of months. So that was not pretty, but that was the longest time I also had to be out of the pool for. So I did not enjoy that time at all.
Ouch, that doesn't sound like fun. All right, our last question for tonight from Jason. Do you have any long-term sporting goals?
Well, my long-term sporting goal now is definitely to make the 2021 Olympic Games team and hopefully win another medal for Australia. And maybe I've had a history of bronze medals, but hopefully change the colour next time round. But yeah, just fingers crossed everything goes ahead smoothly next year. I'm working towards making my 3rd Olympic team.
Amazing. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that. Thank you so much for giving us your time tonight, Anabelle, and for answering all of those fantastic questions. We hope to see you all for yoga on Friday at 4 p.m. and then our chat on Saturday with Team Scouts Australia, who will tell us about their journey on the TV show World's Toughest Race, hosted by Scouts' very own Bear Grylls. Here is a short video to get you excited.
My name's Mile, and I'm excited to tell you that next week, myself and the rest of the team who represented Scouts Australia at Eco Challenge, the world's toughest race in Fiji, a 671-kilometre course through jungle, through mud, oceans, climbing waterfalls, used all our scouting skills to get us to the finish line. Stay tuned during the week and we'll let you know how you can ask us questions on how we did it. See you next week.
"66 teams from 30 different countries have descended on Fiji
I have no clue what to be afraid of. I'm about to find out.
to compete in the world's toughest race.
The horse is relentless, so every step is a victory.
We came here to show the world who we are.
To make sure that those people who feel underrepresented feel that they have a voice.
I am a tough chick, and I'm proud of that.
I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. To do this race with my dad is a priceless experience.
We wanted to prove that the girls in India are strong and they can achieve anything.
This is not a normal adventure race. 671 kilometers. Mountains.
I don't mind climbing, I mind dying.
Jungles.
I need help!
Rivers. Ocean.
4 hours of sleep in 4 days.
And it is brutal.
It's so hard.
It's the first adventure race that I have the feeling of arriving to a limit.
We can handle anything that comes, because we're in it together.
This is the closest we ever get to being superheroes.
But that's still going. It's a real testament to grit.